while we were in that era of gaming, I like never wanted it to end. I never wanted it to end, man. I never
I
wanted that era to end, bro.
I didn't think of the next era, to be honest with you. There was no next era. It was fine. I was completely content with what we had, and that era by itself was just out of this world, man. I don't think it could be replicated, that feeling. It just hit right. We were the right age group to really understand it, and that era made gaming as big as it is now. That
Yeah.
era put gaming. That is why you have your Master Chief on Mountain Dew. That is why you have
Mm,
Super Nintendo World right now as a theme park at Universal Studios Japan. That is the era why gaming wasn't just quote unquote for nerds or for little
mm,
kids. That was the era which made gaming accessible for
to
everybody of all.
everybody.
Yeah, everybody. Everybody had a game, whether it would be Barbie for little girls, whether it be
Yep.
a dancing game, whether it be a rhythm game, whether it be a shooter, whether it be an RPG, puzzle, whatever you were interested
Man.
in, there was a game dedicated for you to play.
So I don't have a list. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna do something different here. Games that I'm gonna name gonna be. I'm just gonna say like maybe these can be honorable mentions or just games that could be plugged in to any given list. Cause like the level of it was hard for me to think about 10 games, man. The level of detail that you put into this list is amazing. I'm not even. I'm gonna let that list that you put in breathe, bro. For real. I'm just gonna name a couple titles that
Okay.
just come to my mind right now because tomorrow I'll probably be thinking about some other games. But
All right.
you
Word.
know,
Word.
this is just gonna be like a little roll call here. The ones that are coming to my mind at this moment right now, we got Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
I knew we were gonna lead off with that, man, for
Not
sure.
much I can say about that game that I haven't already said, but we got that. And I'm gonna try to keep it at one per series. We have Max Payne,
Yeah,
and
bro.
from a graphical standpoint, Max Payne 2 looked almost 10 times better than Max Payne 1. But for me, the story of the first Max Payne and even like the panels, the choice to not use graphics in the cutscenes, the choice for them to have that, the only time that the graphics were in play were when you were actually playing as the character running and gunning. They told the
Hmm.
story through comic book panels. That's how they
That
told the story. I loved it. I like that was one of the things that I liked because it looked different. It was different from every other game where you play through it and you're seeing the graphics. It proved to me that the game didn't have to be graphically superior in order for me to enjoy it and enjoy the story. But what were you gonna say about Max Payne?
Max Payne was on my honorable list, honorary mentions as well, man. That shit was on my list too, dude. Even though, like you said, Max Payne 2 looked better. Max Payne 1 had the better story.
Yep,
Like you said, that shit was grim as fuck. That
man.
detective dark noir feeling of like that was a dirty game, man. I remember walking through these environments. There's prostitution, there's drug use, there's stain cushions and pillows and mattresses. There's blood on the wall. There's urine on the
Right,
wall. There's that. I mean, that shit went through that shit was like going through Hell's Kitchen, man. I mean,
man.
seriously, man, that was like a dark, gritty, grim, bleak game, man. I mean, there
Oh
were
man.
certain levels I couldn't play, yo. As I was like, I'm not playing this stage where you walk through the halls, these endless halls, and you hear the baby crying in the background. That
Oh
shit creeped me
man.
the fuck out, bro. And then
Yeah, man.
the trail of the blood, the trail of blood, and oh, dude, that was whew.
The
That
drug
yeah,
the dream scene part of the game where he gets drugged and yeah, bro. Yeah,
man,
man. Max
dude, and
Payne is definitely honorable mention.
not quite a feeling like that in that era where you could do a slow mo shot, Matrix style, blow someone's head off. It was so gratifying. You're one hit away from freaking dying. The health is right there. Painkillers there. You got this one mother hacker who shows up. You're like, oh shit! You press that L1 button or to do that dive to the side. You're like, yes, like in slow mo. Like that was a dope ass game, Max Payne. Go ahead, man. Keep cooking.
Before I get into this, I want fuck it, man. Tekken 4.
Tekken
Tekken 4.
4.
I was gonna ask you first, like which
Uh-huh.
Tekken you thought was the best one on PS4, but like Tekken 4 was the essence of Tekken for me. There wasn't. This is before the era in Tekken where every boss, every boss that you fought at the end of the game had to be bigger, badder, more powerful, and more supernatural than the one before that. Jinpachi Mishima was a great villain in Tekken 5, but
Yeah.
I love Tekken 4 because Heihachi was the boss at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Heihachi, he was the one that you had to get through. You had to beat him in order to beat the game. And I loved that part of it because he, as a character, I still like him more than any other character in Tekken because he's an asshole at times. He's an asshole. He makes you laugh at times, kind of makes you
Yeah.
sympathize with him at times. But at the core, Heihachi was still a tough guy. And in order for you to beat the game, you had to beat him. And he was bringing smoke, man.
Man, this man had the sandals with the
Oh, yeah.
sumo undies on. It was on.
I love Tekken. Tekken is still and Tekken got better over time, man. Initially, like your hardcore fighting game fans didn't really rock with Tekken because it was a little bit too easy, and you could spam it with Eddie Gordo and all of that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but
yeah.
Tekken 4, from a graphical standpoint, gameplay and story, was the best Tekken that they put out on PS4. That's another, or PS3 or two. My bad. I'm tripping. That's another honorable mention.
The skyscraper stage with the soundtrack. That stage sound was one of the best Tekken levels,
Oh
best
yeah,
Tekken stages of all time. Yeah, Tekken 4, I know it was slower paced than 3 and some of the others, and I know Tekken 5 came on PS2, but Dark Resurrection was better than Tekken 5, so I'm not going to include Tekken 5. So Tekken 4 technically is the introduction of having Steve in the game, Craig Murdoch, a couple other
hmm
characters. Yeah, Tekken 4 was definitely a formidable Tekken game in it, and I think it really helped brought Tekken even continued to its success. Now it's pretty much among fighters. Funny how you mentioned that. Among fighting game fans, it's now the number one fighting games currently in 2020. It's the number
right.
one most respectable fighting game out there. It's beat Street Fighter to this point now.
Yeah, because Tekken never. I mean, other than the one time they made the mistake with Tekken versus or Street Fighter cross Tekken, and then Tekken cross Street Fighter that's never coming out. Um,
Yeah.
I waited, man. I remember.
We'll talk about that another time, yo.
Yeah. That's another convo. But like Tekken never sold out, and
Hmm.
Tekken 4 was the essence of it. It was a fighting game that was actually about fighting. It wasn't
Yeah.
about anything other than fighting. Every character in the game, even with the way that they went about changing up the arcade mode for each character was a story mode. To
Dog, and
where
that prologue soundtrack too. Oh,
Oh yeah,
oh,
man.
that shit get anyone fired up.
Even the voiceover narrator, like that shit was hard, man.
Like I would,
Um,
I would, I would pay Namco to like highlight aspects of my life like that, man. Like if anyone can produce that, fuck it, I might try to produce that shit. If you want, you want some
yo,
live highlights of yourself like that, illustration and the voice and the music, bro. Like that shit was fire, man.
all right. Another honorable mention, man. This isn't really a sports title per se,
Hmm.
but this was one of the most fun games that I played during that era, man. NBA Street.
Number one or two,
NBA
Street Two, right?
I'm gonna say Volume 2. Yeah, NBA Street Volume 2, man. Like
Okay.
that was that was the most like. There's only one. There's only been one NBA Jam, but NBA Street is a worthy competitor, or equally as good and fun as what NBA Jam was, man. NBA
Right.
Street was so much fun. I spent hours. You want to talk about spending hours playing a game? Like I would be up during the summertime until the sun came up the next day playing NBA Street.
Hell yeah, bro.
No, I didn't even care about winning or losing when I played NBA Street.
Damn, bro. Like, I'm not even a basketball fan, and I played NBA straight. I mean, doing the tricks, doing all the moves, handoffs in midair with the scoring, the slow mo of that shit. Like, the only reason why I don't have that on my PS2 list per se, or even honorable mentions, simply because, and I think you already know where I'm going for with this, the
Mm-hmm.
GameCube exclusive of having Mario, Luigi, Peach as selectable characters. I forever have that as a GameCube game in my head because of those exclusives. My brother used to play it on GameCube, so that's the only
I
reason why I don't
forgot.
have it on PS2.
Yeah, I forgot about that, bro. I forgot that. I forgot they did that, man. That was cold. That was cold
Yeah,
when they did that.
yeah, very rare you see Nintendo license out their character like that to anyone who isn't like a Japanese company or whatever. That's how much
Yeah.
pull they had with that shit.
Next honorable mention, and again, shout out to my cousin, man, Majin Mark. He reminded me of this game, man. Def Jam Fight for New York.
Ha ha! Yes, bro. Tell how it is, man. That's on my list too.
Def,
Go ahead, man.
oh my God, Def Jam Fight for New York is one of the best fighting games. It's weird. Def Jam Fight for New York bridged that gap between wrestling and hip hop. like Def Jam Vendetta did it first. Def Jam Vendetta was a straight up wrestling game. Like Def Jam Vendetta was the game engine for the old No Mercy and WrestleMania games from back in the day. That's not a secret. Everybody knew that.
Right.
Def Jam Fight for New York took it. It had the like some of the gameplay and the outlandish wrestling moves, but it was still a fighting game. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you could play as your favorite rappers during the time, and also the soundtracks, some of the
Woo!
classic songs, some of the newer music, the storyline, nobody cared. The storyline, I don't care about the storyline. I beat Def Jam New York at least 5 or 6 different times just because it was fun. It was like the one punch knockouts, the weapons, the finishing
Yes.
moves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There was a whole fatality on that game where you could throw a motherfucker into a train or throw somebody out of the window and all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude.
Snoop Dogg playing the underground fighting mob boss, and then you fighting him at the end of the game and him whooping your ass, doing kung fu on you, bro. He putting you in. He doing all kind of karate kicks, flip kicks, spinning back fists, whooping your ass at the end of the game, man. And then when you finally beat him at the end of the game, it was gratifying. Like Def Jam Fight for New York was so much fun, man. That's another game. I didn't care if I won or if I lost because when like even when you played on a high difficulty, the challenge like that was actually a very challenging game in addition to being fun. On them higher
Mm-hmm.
difficulty levels, bro, you had to be on your shit with the counters and with the timing and all of that. Like Def Jam Fight for New York is an underrated fighting game, and I feel like a lot of people don't give it the respect that it's due. In this era now of like hip hop culture being as big as it is in this current era, it boggles my mind that there hasn't been another fighting game released that you could play as rappers because that shit would be fire. Everybody would be playing that, but it wouldn't be. I mean, they tried to do it with Def Jam Icon, but that game was ass. Def
Yeah,
Jam
yeah.
Icon was trash, but Def Jam Fight for New York was one of my favorite games ever. I played that game so many times, man. Like putting like you know what I'm saying, being able to like fight and win money, and then you go to the jewelry store and you could put a Rockefeller chain on your fighter.
Can't be
You could
replicated, man.
no, not at all. Like you could put a Rough Riders chain on your fighter. You could put a Wu-Tang Clan chain on your fighter, bro. Like that shit was oh my goodness. Def Jam Fight for New York was so much fun, man.
I don't know about you guys, but Fat Joe is one of the hardest fucking characters to fight
Oh
in the fighting
my
game, bro.
goodness,
I almost
bro.
broke controllers over that shit, man.
Listen,
I could not. Fat Joe was. Oof.
Fat Joe on Def Jam Fight for New York was like when you got to that point in the game where you had to fight him, and that motherfucker would cheat too, man.
Yeah.
He would do the same move every time you would fight him at that point in the game. He would do the bear hug, like walk you to the back of the cage and just keep you there. And then he hit you with the pedigree. And after he hit you, when your health bar got low and his blazing meter got to where it was at, you knew it was over because he was finna hit you with the pedigree and you was finna be
Yep.
done. Fat Joe was a savage on that game, man.
Yes.
Oh my God, he was
Savage.
a savage. He
Bro,
was a
like
savage on that game.
he was
Oh
like
man.
he was like the hip hop Shao Kahn in that motherfucker, man. Like, oh my, I almost broke controllers over this dude,
Yeah,
man.
bro.
I
He
was
was
that emotionally compromised by this guy, man.
and he was the mini boss. Like Fat Joe was like the sub boss on that game,
Right,
man. But once you
right.
got past him, it was like, man, I'm finna beat everybody else on this game, bro. But yeah, he was oh bro, Fat Joe was a beast.
Yeah.
I
Def
swear I
Jam
forgot
fight.
about Fat Joe.
Yeah, yeah, man. Def Jam Fight for New York will never be. It's gonna be hard to replicate that. Sidebar, just because the licensing of
Mm-hmm.
all those rappers and those record companies and the music and the
Mm-hmm.
logos, Rockefeller, Wu-Tang, the licensing to get all that done is in today's day and age is
Nope.
nearly impossible.
It will
And
never happen.
it would never happen. And that is the reason why you don't see this shit on PlayStation Now, or why don't they remaster Def Jam Fight for New York? Simply because the
They can't.
licensing can't. And I learned this from my boy Orion online, man, in our Mortal Kombat discussion, bro. The licensing involved, the money involved is too much for any game company. Too many contractual obligations. It's literally a legal headache. Yeah, for anyone to do it, it's not worth it. You'd have to do one record company, and
Yep.
you'd have to have some complete cooperation. It's sad, but we'll never get a roster like that. We'll never get a musical library, a soundtrack like that. It's definitely one for the record books, and hence why the supposedly high prices online to get this game.
Oh man. And not only that, but I think rappers now, like not to like bash any current rappers, but I think like rappers now are too sensitive to put their likeness in a video game where they could get beat up.
You know what? Yeah, I can see some fault with that. Yeah, I can see some egos definitely being affected by having that ability, but it's a freaking game, man. Jeez, you're cemented in history with some of the stuff,
Yeah.
but
So
keep
Def
cooking,
Jam
man.
but yeah, so Def Jam Fight for New York, it's actually hard to get a copy of that game now.
Yeah, it's pricey. Orion Online said it was pricey, man. He said those price. It's not like no normal PS2, man. It's the
Oh man.
licensing. He said, yo, when they got this new Mortal Kombat, when the Ultimate Game of the Year edition comes out, buy it, keep it in good condition, because these are the kind of games where they have these licensing where they can't replicate it later on
Right.
because of the
That's a good
contracts. That's
point.
why you can't get Marvel's. It's hard to get Marvel's Capcom. It's hard to get Def Jam. It's hard to get all these games that have these soundtracks or these features or these characters because of licensing. So that's a whole new world. I wasn't even privy to all that shit, but now I am. But go
Man,
ahead,
that's
keep
dope.
cooking, man.
Oh man, okay. On to the next one here. Another honorable mention that I'm gonna throw in here, man. I mean, the PlayStation 2, like the graphics for this game that I'm about to call were terrible. They was
Mm-hmm.
ugly, but the gameplay was on point, man. So calm, bro.
SOCOM Navy SEALs. Ha ha ha! Oh, that's a throwback, man.
The graphic, like graphically, that
uh,
game was on the lower end for a lot of the PlayStation 2 games, but you could get like that was tactical shooter. That was tactical shooting before like Call of Duty turned it into a parody of itself.
yes, yes. Keep cooking, man.
Like SOCOM, oh man, SOCOM Navy SEALs was one of them games where I felt like it was intense. I didn't even want to play. I didn't even want to play that game. Like that was one of the games I didn't really even want to play because of the intensity behind it. Like I would watch my brother play it, and I watch my uncle play it, and just it just felt too. I'm not gonna say it felt too realistic, but I didn't want to make a wrong move and end up dying in that game just because it was so easy to get killed playing that game, man.
Right, right. I remember they
Yeah.
had a demo of it, and I played it for a bit. I'm like, yo, this shit's way too tactical for me. But I knew a lot of people were highly competitive and playing that online. Highly competitive playing that game, bro.
Yeah, man. I can't say too much past that, but SOCOM Navy SEALs was some underrated fire.
Yeah.
There's another game that was underrated, and it's kind of sad because both of these games kind of got put out to pasture. Like Hideo Kojima is a lot of things. I mean, and it's unfortunate because I don't. I want to be careful with what I'm gonna say here, man. Like
Mm,
we all know and love Hideo Kojima because of what he did with Metal Gear Solid, but there
true.
was an opportunity with a game called Zone of Enders on
Mm,
PlayStation 2, especially with like the second one they took in a better direction. The second one was more anime focused and anime centric, but Zone of Enders was an underrated game because it took elements of anime and the whole mech genre and everything like that. It took it into gaming, but they used that game to get you to want to play a demo for Metal Gear Solid 2.
I think I vaguely remember. I remember seeing that,
Yeah.
and I remember seeing a lot of people copped it for that demo for Metal Gear Solid 2.
So it never really stood a chance. Like graphically, Zone of Enders, and I'm not even saying that that's one of the greatest ever. I just put it in as an honorable mention because I feel like it could have been so much more. It really could have been a strong B option for Hideo Kojima, but it didn't live up to that potential because that wasn't what the focus was.
Right,
Um,
right.
Now, I'm gonna ask you this here, bro. Between these two games, you can only pick one.
Oh shit. Let's go.
Between Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. One stays, one goes.
I'm gonna go with, dude. Oh man, they're both. They're both certified genre-breaking classics, man. I'm gonna go with Shadow Colossus simply
Good answer.
because,
Good answer.
just because it was the one I was more accustomed to, and Ico kind of passed on. It was a sleeper, and by the time I was awakened to it, it was a little bit too late for me. But I was aware of how good it was, and but Shadow Colossus was the one that I was able to catch in time.
Man, Shadow of the Colossus was a haymaker, and it wasn't better than the Zelda titles on Nintendo 64,
Mm-hmm.
but it was damn close, man. For me it was. For me it was because of how different each boss fight was, and you had to think like, and this is like the reason we're mentioning all these games. Like, bro, we ain't even getting into Ratchet and Clank and
I
Sly Cooper
know.
and Jack and Daxter. Like you know what I'm saying? If my cousin was on the line right now, he'd be going off. He would be going crazy right now because we done spent all of this time talking about these games and haven't mentioned any of those.
I
He would
know the
be he would be on us right now, bro.
The platformers, I mean, I like platformers. I'm more on the Nintendo side for platformers, but no, I mean Jack and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, Dirt, Sly Cooper, and the Thieves, and I mean Clone, I think, and all those, man, those are good platformers, but I honestly did not. I didn't really mess with them like that because I had the GameCube. So when it came to
Right.
getting a game like that, I'll just put on the cube and call it a day. So, I mean, when the PS2, I was like, look, I'm gonna just get games on PS2 that I can't get an experience like on GameCube. So when I saw Jack and Daxter and all of them, like, I mean, they look good, but it's like, well, I mean, I got Mario over here and Sonic and Link and all these other guys over here that can do, that can serve that same function. So no disrespect to those series because those are some really great series, man. But I just went to GameCube for that.
Another one, and I'll be the first to tell you this next one I'm gonna mention. The best version of this next game I'm gonna mention was on Nintendo GameCube. Clearly, and I mean
Uh-oh.
Link is literally one of the best guest characters to appear in another game, and they got it right. Link on Soul Calibur 2 for GameCube was nearly a perfect match. But
Oh my god, dude. Yeah.
Soul Calibur 2 is another one I'm gonna give an honorable mention for on PlayStation 2 because the gameplay for Heihachi, you didn't miss a beat playing as Heihachi on Soul Calibur because Namco knew what they was doing with him.
Right, right.
I mean, like there's a lot of other ones. I mean, I never there was one game that Rockstar put out called State of Emergency. Did you ever play that?
Vaguely, I remember the cover, and I vaguely remember the gameplay.
Yeah, that shit was crazy. That like Rockstar, like that's another topic for another day, man. Rockstar used to be fucking tripping when it came to some of them joints they put out, but they
You
could do
remember?
whatever. It was bulletproof during that time, so they could get away with a game like State of Emergency where you're basically, yeah.
Dog, you remember Manhunt on
Oh yeah,
PS2?
yeah.
I mean,
Manhunt was
again, another. Yeah, we're gonna come back to this. We'll come back to this.
man.
We're gonna
Yeah,
come back to
man.
this. Rockstar
Whoa.
being bulletproof at this era,
Yeah,
man.
Manhunt was oh shit, like that man. um,
Just
uh,
yeah, for the listeners out, just YouTube that shit, man. Just
yeah,
yeah,
man.
you figure it out.
Another. I mean, I only got a couple more, and again, these are honorable mentions. I'm not considering any of these to be like the greatest ever. Even I remember for the longest time you were talking about how Max Payne did the thing with the bullet time. I
Yeah.
remember how disappointed I was when Enter the Matrix came out on PS2, and it was like it was trash. And we played the shit out of that game too, bro. Like you couldn't
Yeah, I remember
you
that
you
one.
you, you was playing as Niobe or Nairobi,
And
and Ghost.
Ghost.
Ghost. I don't even remember him having any lines in Matrix Reloaded, bro. Like, what
All,
part did he play in that movie?
all that shit was extra, man. It was cut, deleted scenes, man. That shit was deleted scene. It was filler. So they put the filler as a part of the game, and it was like I remember they were like, "Yeah, this is what happens in between all these scenes." I'm like, "Yeah, fucking right, bro. Yeah, get out of here with that." But
Like for real.
yeah, that
And
game was disappointing, but we
it
still
was
played it.
it was very disappointing, and it was hard too. But it was very disappointing. So I remember when the Path of Neo came out, and you actually got to play as Neo in the Matrix, and that shit was fire. That shit was fire,
I
man. Did
actually
you ever?
missed that one.
Oh man.
I never knew.
Oh man, you never knew about that one? Yes, The Matrix, Path of Neo for PlayStation 2 was man, like that was the one right there. That game was so much fun because man, I'm struggling with the words right now. But that game captured how much fun the first Matrix movie was. Because it was
Mm.
off the wall. It was so absurd and off the wall. And literally you're in God mode from when you start the game. And that's what gaming, like playing games should always be fun. It should be challenging. But it's like that's the one game that you could play without cheat codes because you can do anything that you want to do damn near from the start of the game, man.
Damn.
Like I never cared to even try to beat it because it was so much fun that like I would get on YouTube right now and just look at gameplay videos for that fucking game, man. The Path of
Totally.
Neo was straight fire. Oh man, like bro, that shit was fire. Maybe I'm remembering it better than what it was, but if I am, I don't care.
Right, right. Hey, it's honorable mention. Fuck it.
Yeah, if I'm remembering it better than what it was, I don't even care, man. Like, like that's a lot of them. Like I said, I'm sure I'm gonna remember some. Like some will probably
Mhm.
come back to my memory. But this has been a fun topic, and it just goes to show like the variety. The only thing that I really think might have been lacking a little bit, and I want to get your opinion on this before we kind of wrap it up. But like,
All
do
right.
you think that the PS2 was kind of lacking a little bit with the first person shooters?
Yeah, I think so because I mean there was time splitters. I don't in terms of lacking, they had shooters. They had FPSs. They had
Mm-hmm.
Medal of Honor and all these other games. They had FPSs and God damn, Midway had one. There was a lot of them. The problem was none of them really stood out. None of them was like
Ah,
a game changer like Halo. You know what I'm saying? So
mm-hmm.
out of the thousands of titles that they had first person shooters. It's just none of them could really hold a light to Halo. You know what I'm
I
saying?
I got you. Yeah.
So they just couldn't provide that. You know what I'm saying? They just couldn't provide that Halo style game on that same caliber. But they did have first person shooters. And they tried to adjust that with PS3. Remember, what was that game called Resistance? End of Resistance?
Yeah,
Uh,
Resistance Fall of Man. Yeah.
Resistance Fallen Man, and then they had Killzone. I think Killzone was like their their shot at Halo, and let's be fair, it failed. We look at where Killzone is now compared to Halo.
Yeah.
So that was the supposed. I remember the PS2 fanboys, the Halo killer is here. All this other shit. That was fun, but
No, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
yeah, no, it wasn't. Essence X Tricky, bro.
Ah,
What
man.
a colorful, fun game, man. I mean, that's all
Like
you
I
got to
said,
say about that.
like I was saying before, remember when EA cared? Remember?
When they had some heart, I know
Yep.
it's they had some pride, and they weren't just this soul sucking money grabber for nickel and diming you to death over the bare minimum.
Man.
Good times, good times.
Hitman. Hitman.
Oh yeah, Hitman. Oh man, like again, these are the kind of games that we weren't think like the kind of shit that PS2 era was able to get away from. Like you couldn't do this shit on PlayStation One. You couldn't do this shit on Super Nintendo. Like some of these
Yeah.
games were graphic as fuck, man, and mature to the point where. Like Blood Rain and him and all these other shit like that you couldn't accomplish this before. Like the PS2 had that. Yeah, we can get away with shit no one else can. Like literally.
Hitman was actually pretty hard. That game was like pretty difficult, man.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Hitman always been kind of difficult to be honest with you though.
Parappa the Rapper 2. Fun rhythm game. Parappa's an icon, PlayStation icon, sign of the times, you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Just a fun, quirky title that probably will never get a third one, but it's a time capsule into itself, man. And those kind of games probably, those kind of games will never get really made again. Coming from Japan, coming with that quirky humor to put hip hop and a like almost like a Looney Tune form, a Japanese influence to it. Just
Mhm.
a fun game, man. How do we not mention this? I got two honorable mentions for this series. No, I'll do one.
Okay.
I'll do one. I'll do the great. I'll do the
Okay.
one that everyone loves. Mortal
What we got?
Kombat Shaolin Monks, bro. Shaolin Monks, my brother. Co-op
Oh,
classic. Classic,
Yo,
bro.
yeah. Oh man, see, bro. Now we getting in the yeah, man. Now we getting into some haymakers, man. Yeah, Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks is oh man. I don't even know what to say about
Self-explanatory.
that. I don't even know what to say about that. No, it was not better than okay. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks was not better than God of War. It was
No.
not better. It was not better than Devil May Cry. It might not have even been better than some of the later Prince of Persia games that were a part of that console generation. But Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks was just fun, man.
That
It
game was
was
fun as hell, man.
like the in game quick time event fatalities, like the unlockables, the double jump, the wall running ability, the
Yes,
fireball
yes.
with Liu Kang, the hat toss with Kung Lao, the inside jokes with Johnny Cage coming in to do the fatality on Goro, the boss fight, the two hardest boss fights in that game, man. Baraka. I hated Baraka
Oh
in that game.
yeah, dude.
I got killed by like Baraka fucked me up so many times playing that game. And then Scorpion, you couldn't kill Scorpion. Like
Nah, man.
you fought Scorpion like three different times in that game, man, and he still kept coming back. But Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks was one of the most fun games that they've ever made attached to that property. And can you even get that like on Steam or anywhere
I
online?
I don't think so, man. I think it's another one of those games, and that's weird because there's no real licensing with it. One is oddly enough one of those games that hasn't been remastered or re-released. I would love for NetherRealm Studios to do. That's one of those games that like, yo, we're gonna do a Shaolin Monk sequel on PS5. I'd be like, yo, I might have to cop that shit like next tax season. Where
Yeah.
I might have to upgrade to PS5 to get Shaolin Monks number
Yeah,
two.
dog. Like they
Uh,
could move. Yeah, that would move some hardware. I think Ed Boon just might be over it.
right. You know, he's focused on justice and the Mortal Kombat series. But if you ever had time, if he wanted to do, a little Hail Mary pass before he retires officially from game development, man, hey, we're here to receive that ball, bro, and for the touchdown, man. We'll give him some sales for sure on that.
On the topic of Mortal Kombat, before you get to your next one, I want you to keep that next one you was gonna name. But I just want to ask
All
you
right.
this: between Mortal Kombat, Deadly Alliance, Deception, and Armageddon, like which one do you think was the best out of those three,
No contest. It was Deadly Alliance, man. In my
man?
opinion.
I agree.
I think it played the smooth. It was the smoothest one out of the 3D fighters. The roster
Hmm.
was solid. I think everything after that got clunky. I think it was more gimmicky about the stage fatality, stage environments, Armageddon
Hmm.
with the create your own fatality, that which was lazy in the end. I mean, I get
Yeah,
you.
that
You have 60 plus.
trash. That shit was trash.
Yeah, I mean, you have 60 plus characters. I know you don't want to do a fatality for everyone, so you do this as a way to save time. The gameplay kept getting worse, kept getting clunkier. Those were some kind of dark times for Mortal Kombat. It was still fun, but it as a fighting game, it definitely was in the lower pits in terms of respect in the community. Shall
Yeah.
Deadly Alliance being the first one to make that jump, the first fighting iteration that wasn't released in the arcade was a big move. The arcade, the way they deemed it, the arcade scene was dead and wasn't profitable enough to put it in the arcades anymore. And Deadly Alliance, man, was dope. I mean, seeing the opening, my boy Luke King got his
Ooh.
neck snapped was
Ooh.
like, what the? It was shocking. It was like, what
In
the
the
fuck?
intro. In
In
the
the
intro.
intro, my boy didn't even make it in the game, bro. The champion of Mortal Kombat is falling. I'm like, who am I gonna play? But I jumped on Scorpion and I
Yeah.
jumped on Scorpion after that, dude.
In my opinion, this is just my opinion on this, bro. Liu Kang ain't been the same since to me, man. Liu
Yeah,
Kang
yeah,
has not been the same since he died in the opening credits or an opening cutscene to Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance.
Yeah, it's been hard to give him that respect back on his name. Like Birdman, put some respect on my name. I mean,
Right. Like ever
yeah,
since then, it feels like Scorpion was always the most popular character, but like I don't even think, and like sidebar, but I don't know, man. I like Liu Kang, but yeah, for me, he ain't been the same since they did that to him in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance.
yeah, true that, man. And the zombie version, and then you have him as the evil NetherRealm version, and they brought him back to light in 11 when he became a god, and this is the younger Liu Kang, but it's still not quite the same. He has to earn, it's like damn, he got to re-earn what he already had before. So we'll see what they do with in the movie, man. You know how this should go.
And I like Liu Kang as a bad guy personally. I want
Uh-huh.
Liu Kang. I want Liu Kang as a bad guy. That's really what I want. I want him as a bad guy. I
That
don't want
was the
him as a
interesting turn.
hero.
Yeah, that was an interesting turn, man. Better than the zombie. I like his NetherRealm version than just being a freaking undead zombie, which was just a waste.
I'm gonna give I'm gonna give Ed Boon and them one more shout out because the intro cutscenes to Deadly Alliance, Deception, and Armageddon are classic opening scenes for fighting games. I still get chills when I watch the opening cutscene for Deception. Honestly, all three of them opening cutscenes are cinematic to me, but that's a different combo. But yeah, continue, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, Armageddon was the Infinity War of Mortal Kombat for an intro, man. But yeah, we can get into Mortal Kombat later on, bro. I got two more. I got two more. I know we could go on and on. It's PS2, man. We can go on and on forever
Yeah.
because I got two more. I'm gonna go. You mentioned prior. I'm gonna go Onimusha 3 as
Mm.
honorary mention. I loved Onimusha 1. I played a little bit of 2, but when they had God Samanusuke, I'm butchering his for the third one, and then having Gene Reno, Gene
Ooh.
Reno to cut for the third game, going back and forth between playing those two characters and the gameplay, the graphics, everything was smooth. Capcom was on their shit back then, bro. Like
Yeah,
I
man.
don't know. I mean, they're still relevant. They're still doing good, but the variety they used to provide was yeah. They used to just build a catalog of games, no problem. Now it seems like they struggle to make new IPs or sequels to their older IPs. Onimusha 3, man, phenomenal game. I'm gonna put it on my honorary list.
Like, remember when
And
Capcom used to care? Remember when they used to care?
it's almost like you remember when all these gaming companies used to care, but the game changed, man. The game has been flipped, it's changed, and there's not much we can do about it. But you used to when the game used to come out. Remember when the game used to come out and it was complete, no patches, no software, and oh, I got the disc. It's still gonna take 10 gig off your hard drive to install. Like what the fuck? Everything's on the disc. No,
Yep.
none of that shit. Like if the game came out, it was buggy. Guess what? That shit stayed buggy. There was no fixes.
Yeah, well,
You
you
were
know what I'm
fucked.
saying? You better hope you kept your receipt to take that shit back and get your store credit from GameStop.
Right. You better exchange that bad boy soon enough because there was no patch in that shit. What you got was what you got, man. I mean, gaming back then was just different, man. It was just different. And my last mention, honorary. I know the sequel is better. I know the sequel does more. I know the sequel is considered the catalyst of this game series, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Spider-Man 1 on PS2 as one of my favorite honorary mention because just
Oh
being a
man.
Spider-Man fan, I know the PS1 Spider-Man game was good, but the PS2 it just really brought to light what playing as Spider-Man could be, man, on these next gen consoles back then. So I mean, I love the first movie, the combat, the swinging. I know everything was more redefined in the second one, but the first one,
Mm-hmm.
again, first impressions. So for all you listeners out there, let us know what are your favorite PS2 highlights, what are your favorite PS2 moments, what the console meant to you, and what's your personal favorite games. And with that, we're out.